Next, we take you live to a debate between the candidates for Kentucky Senate. Kentucky Attorney General Democrat Jack Conway debates Tea Party candidate Dr. Rand Paul, an ophthalmologist and the son of Texas Congressman Ron Paul. The winner of this race would replace Senator Jim Bunning, who's retiring at the end of his term. This debate is hosted by several organizations, including the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, the Kentucky Inquirer, and WCPO-TV in Cincinnati, Ohio. Live coverage now here on C-SPAN.
And welcome. I am Clyde Gray, welcoming you to the campus of Northern Kentucky University. For the next hour, I will be moderating tonight's debate in the Kentucky U.S. Senate race between Democrat Jack Conway and Republican Rand Paul. We will bring the candidates out in just a few moments, but first, a little bit about them. Jack Conway is a Democrat. He's 41 years old. He holds a Bachelor of Arts degree from Duke University and is a graduate of the George Washington University Law School. He has worked as a legislative aide and counsel for the House Banking Committee, as well as for former Kentucky Governor Paul Patton. He also practiced law in Louisville and is co-owner of a thoroughbred racehorse. In 2007, he was elected Kentucky Attorney General, an office he holds today. He and his wife, Elizabeth, have been married for 4 years. They have one daughter. They live in Louisville. Republican Rand Paul is 47 years old. He attended Baylor University and earned a medical degree from Duke University. He is an ophthalmologist in private practice in Bowling Green. He is also chairman and founder of Kentucky Taxpayers United. Dr. Paul has never held political office. He and his wife Kelly have been married for 20 years. They have 3 sons and live in Bowling Green. The audience here in the Greaves Concert Hall has been instructed to remain completely silent with one exception, and that's right now when they join me in welcoming Jack Conway and Rand Paul. Questioning the candidates tonight is our panel of journalists. They are Scott Reynolds from Wave 3 News in Louisville, Amanda Van Benschoten of the Kentucky Inquirer, and Tom McKee from 9 News. The debate will be carried out under a format and rules agreed to by the campaigns. Here they are. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to deliver an opening statement. Then the questioning begins. For each question, each candidate will get a 90-second response, with the first candidate also receiving 30 seconds for rebuttal. The rules do allow for follow-up questions at the moderator's discretion. In the event of a follow-up, each candidate will receive 30 seconds for a response. Each candidate will then get 2 minutes apiece for a closing statement. The League of Women Voters is in charge of keeping the time, and it is up to me to strictly enforce those time limits, a job which I relish. The order of the opening statements, opening and closing statements, I should say, as well as the questions, has been determined by a coin flip prior to tonight's debate. And Mr. Conway is first. Sir, you now have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Well, thank you, Claude. Thank you to the Northern Kentucky Chamber and to Northern Kentucky University for hosting this debate. This election for the United States Senate presents a fundamental choice between what is right for Kentucky and what is wrong for Kentucky. As Attorney General, I have taken on the issue of crime and drugs. Rand Paul has said that drugs aren't a pressing issue and that nonviolent action should never be criminalized. Rand Paul is wrong. As Attorney General, I've tried to stand up for our seniors when they were scammed or when they've been abused. Rand Paul supports a $2,000 deductible for Medicare that our seniors can't afford. Rand Paul is wrong. As Attorney General, I've taken on the pharmaceutical companies when they lied to us about prescription pill prices. I've taken on the oil companies when they gouged us at the pump. Rand Paul does not believe that those companies should be held accountable whatsoever. In fact, he's even said that going after British Petroleum is un-American. Rand Paul is wrong. But what concerns me the most is that Rand Paul has said, and I'm quoting here, that we haven't followed the Constitution in this country since 1937. That date was not selected at random. That's the year that the U.S. Supreme Court upheld the constitutionality of Social Security. I don't know whether he thinks Social Security is constitutional, but he's also questioned Medicare. He's questioned minimum wage laws. He's questioned federal law enforcement. He's questioned the Americans with Disabilities Act. He's questioned fundamental provisions of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. He's questioned worker safety protections, even federal mine safety protections. Rand Paul would undo all that we have fought for since the Great Depression. Rand Paul is wrong, fundamentally wrong. Count on me to protect Kentucky. This is a choice between right and wrong.
Mr. Conway, thank you. Mr. Paul, you now have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you. I'm a physician, not a career politician. I've been married for 20 years. I have 3 teenage boys. They're all here with me today. I decided to run for office because I became concerned about the mounting debt. I became concerned because the Republicans were doubling the debt, and then the Democrats came into power and they were tripling the debt. I became concerned because of the exponential rise in spending, that government became the answer for everything. I became concerned that President Obama's agenda was to add entitlement programs, trillion-dollar entitlement programs. I became concerned that President Obama's agenda was to raise taxes in the middle of a recession. I became concerned that President Obama's agenda to bring cap and trade to Kentucky would be disastrous for Kentucky, that it would cost us tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of jobs. I think our vision for the country, our vision for America, is so much different than their vision. President Obama's vision is that government is the answer to every economic ill, to every social ill. Our answer is, as Ronald Reagan said, that government is not the solution to the problem, government is the problem. I believe in the individual. I believe in you. I believe in the individual entrepreneur, the individual business. I don't have great faith that government can do many things very well, so we should minimize what government does. There are certain functions that government will do. Our national defense, Social Security, Medicare, roads. There are things that government will do, but let's keep it to a minimum. Also, let's recognize that we're running out of money. And as we run out of money, we have to have solutions, and we can't simply stick our head in the sand and say, we'll just keep passing out checks, because that's what we're supposed to do. Thank you very much for allowing me to come to this debate this evening.
Mr. Paul, thank you. We begin the questionings now, and we'll begin with Scott Reynolds of Wave 3 News. He'll have the first question tonight, and it goes to Mr. Conway.
Before all the political, something a little bit more personal. Mr. Paul, some of your critics would say you have no political experience, that you have some very radical ideas, and that you're too much of a loose cannon to be a senator. And for Mr. Conway, maybe the opposite. Here comes another smooth-talking lawyer who wants to climb that ladder and maybe be a career politician. So could you answer those types of criticisms and why people should give you your vote as a candidate and as a person?
Mr. Conway, you have 90 seconds.